If only I'd known these things earlier, it would have saved me years of frustration, self-doubt, and starting over. And I don't say that lightly. I say that as someone who's been through the thick of it. I say it as someone who has tried all the plans, followed all the rules, and still felt stuck. And today I'm sharing 5 things that I wish I'd known years earlier before starting my weight loss journey. Plus, 2 bonus lessons that finally created lasting change. And make sure you stay with me to the end because the last one is the missing piece that really made things click. Before we get into it, if you're serious about making this your last start over, I created a free resource called Align and Rise. And it's a simple morning ritual that keeps you grounded, aligned, and intentional about your weight loss goals, even on the hardest days. You can download it right below this video. I'm Genny Tonin, and I'm a holistic nutritionist, a metabolism and mindset expert, and personal development coach for women in midlife. I help women over 40 finally lose stubborn weight for good by combining the science of metabolism with the psychology of transformation. Because lasting change doesn't happen from following diet rules alone. It happens when your habits, your hormones, your mindset, and your energy are all working together. So let's dive into the 5 things that I wish someone had told me years ago, because it truly would have changed everything for me. So number 1 is to focus on what you're adding, not what you're taking out. So when it comes to weight loss, you know what most of us do. We focus on what we're going to cut out, right? Sugar, carbs, anything fun. And that can work for a little while, a few days, a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, until willpower runs out. And it always does. Here's the thing that most people don't realize. When you focus your effort on removal, well, your brain interprets that as deprivation. And deprivation activates the stress response in your body. This increases cravings and it lowers your motivation. But research shows us something fascinating. When you focus in on adding supportive behaviors, this can mean more protein, more color on your plate, more hydration, more movement. Well, then your brain shifts into a reward mindset, not punishment. And with that, less helpful habits that we already have established, well, they can start to fade. For me, this was huge. When I stopped thinking about what am I cutting out? And instead I asked myself, what can I add in today that's going to actually help me to feel better? Well, it shifted how I thought about everything. It gave me a choice on what I was focusing on adding instead of what I was taking away from myself. My energy, my mood, my consistency, it all improved. So you can start using this for yourself today by simply asking, what's one thing that I can add today instead of subtracting? Number 2 is don't try to get it right. Just get started. I spent years waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect routine. And the spoiler alert is that time, it never came. Psychologists call this the intention action gap. It's that space between what we intend to do and what we actually do. And the one thing that closes that gap is action. Your brain builds confidence by doing, not by thinking. So every time that you take a small step, you reinforce the belief that you can trust yourself, that you're reliable, that you're accountable. So when I finally gave myself permission to start small and imperfect, which was so against my nature, it felt like the whole journey became lighter, more achievable, no longer overwhelming. So I used to be the queen of saying, oh, I'm going to start on Monday, or I'm going to start after the holidays, or after vacation, or when things settle down. I mean, I had a list of reasons of why I would start later. But one day I realized that life is never going to slow down and there's always something right around the corner. But I also realized that I could start right now, right where I was, even though things weren't perfect. I just had to get started. So you can use this and get started today by simply asking yourself, what's one step that I can take today without waiting for conditions to be perfect? and then do that thing. Number three is to find your why. Your why is your anchor. Without it, motivation drifts. Simon Sinek, well, he's the master talking about finding your why and how people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do what you do. Your brain works the exact same way. It needs meaning in order to stay committed. So if you have ever tied your weight loss why to something temporary, like an upcoming event, a reunion, a wedding, a vacation, well, then your motivation will disappear the moment that the event has passed. I speak from painful experience with this. But if your why is tied into who you're becoming, what you're evolving into, now that is powerful. Now, for years, I would tie my weight loss motivation to things like upcoming vacations or beach weather. And it worked until the vacation or the wedding or whatever the thing came and passed. But when I finally tied my why to the larger picture of the life that I was creating, what I wanted in the long term, who I wanted to become, like feeling confident and comfortable in my skin, feeling energized, feeling strong, feeling at peace with my body. Well, that shifted everything. So ask yourself, what's the reason why you want to do this that moves you emotionally? That's your real why. And number four is to create your vision. Here's what a lot of people don't know. Your brain responds to images, not vague ideas. Sports psychology shows us that visualization activates the same neural pathways as actual performance. But the key isn't only visualizing the end result. It's also about visualizing the process. Picture yourself eating in a way that feels supportive, moving your body in a way that feels good, feeling strong, feeling capable, feeling grounded, waking up energized, wearing clothes that you like, that fit, wearing them with ease and comfort. So for a long time, I just focused on, I want to feel better. I want to like my reflection in the mirror. I wanted to lose weight, but that wasn't really a vision. That was more like a wish. Once I started to picture what all of that actually looked like, well, my mind and my choices finally began to align. So picture and get really crystal clear on what does that version of you that you want to become, what does that look like? How do they live their life? What is the routine, the daily process that they go through? And number five is to relish in the messy middle. Now, everybody loves the before and after pictures, right? This was me before, and here I am after. We love it. We love the story of how people turned their lives around. But the part that nobody talks about is the middle, where you are when you're not who you used to be, but you're not quite yet who you're becoming. Because real transformation, it's messy. Think of the caterpillar in the chrysalis. It literally dissolves into goo before it rebuilds itself into that butterfly. And this is sort of how our brain works too. Old neural pathways, they weaken and new neural pathways begin to strengthen. But this in-between stage, well, it feels uncomfortable because when this is happening, you're actually rewiring your brain. So this is not a sign of failure or that something's wrong. It's actually a sign of growth. So, I mean, I was the queen of hitting plateaus and setbacks. And I always assumed that this meant, okay, I'm doing something wrong. How do I change things up? But now, with more hindsight and a deeper understanding of how this process all works, I can see that I was actually evolving. So ask yourself, where might your messy middle actually be a sign that change is happening? And bonus number one is to set your intention daily. Daily intention setting is one of the simplest and most powerful tools that we have when it comes to creating lasting change. Studies show that people who set an intention each morning have significantly higher follow-through rate because intention directs your focus. For me, this is where real transformation starts. Every morning, I ground myself, I breathe, and I choose what I want to embody for that day. And this is what inspired the Align and Rise method, a short morning practice that anchors your values, your goals, and your energy before your day takes over. Bonus number 2 is that weight loss doesn't fix everything, but it changes everything. When I finally started seeing results, I realized something really important. Weight loss doesn't solve all my problems, but it changed how I was able to face them. When you're not consumed by exhaustion, by judgment, by frustration, dread, self-doubt, you free up a lot of mental space. You think clearer, you feel more capable, and you become more resilient. And for me, that shift really changed things, not just in my body, but in my confidence and my relationships and the sense of who I was capable of becoming, what I was capable of doing. What can become possible for you when you feel good in your body again? Now, if I could go back and I could tell my younger self one thing, well, it would be this. Stop looking for the perfect plan and start looking for understanding. Once you understand how change really works, you stop fighting yourself. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're becoming, one intentional day at a time. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up because it helps other women in midlife that need the support find this video. And subscribe for weekly videos on mindset, metabolism, and transformation. And before you go, be sure to download the Align and Rise method. It's your daily anchor to align your energy, your intentions, and the woman you're becoming. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.